In the headlines, Atiku, Tinubu pledge economic rebirth to address poverty and insecurity. Snake scare heightens in Lokoja's water recedes. Federal government to begin direct flight to Israel, November. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Updates. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for joining. And now the news in detail. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, says if elected, he will create dynamic economy, improve security in the north and unify the country. Atiku disclosed this when he appeared alongside all the presidential candidates before the Iowa Joint Committee to unveil their plans for the north and the country if voted into power come 2023. The report.
The interactive session is to intimate the presidential candidate of different political parties and also provides the candidate the opportunity to showcase their plans for the North and the country if elected into power. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, while unveiling his development plans, which comprises security, unity, and the dynamic economy of the country, promised to better the lives of Nigerians.
1, to restore Nigeria's unity. 2, to strengthen national security. 3, to build a dynamic economy for prosperity. And improve education delivery. And then also devolve more powers to the states and the local governments. I believe we can unite and do it together and propel northern Nigeria or northern states to a higher level of prosperity, peace, security, and unity.
The presidential candidate of the PRP, Kola Abiola, also disclosed his plans for the nation if voted into power.
My vision is to lay a foundation for making Nigeria a top 10 economy in 20 years. My mission is to govern with the people to achieve human capital development, security and national cohesion, and to serve as a bridge between generations. On the back of this, we have laid out a carefully thought-through plan of action based on a three-point agenda. The people, and the people.
Kola Abiola of the PRP, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, and Adewale Adebayo of the SDP were the candidates who appeared before the Joint Northern Committee on Saturday. The interactive session with the presidential candidate is a platform provided by the 6 notable groups in the North to assess the blueprint if it will help the North address our challenges and the country in general. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Also, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, said when voted into office, his administration will champion an efficient government that will eliminate revenue and expense leakages across all federal government areas and leveraging technology into government operations. Speaking at the 7th edition of Kaduna Economic and Investment Summit, Tinubu said he will raise a team of the most talented of Nigerians, men, women and youths, no matter their tribe and affiliations, to reset Nigeria on a path to achieve double-digit economic growth within a couple of years. Tinubu also pledged to introduce policies that will make it easier to transfer titles and carry out transactions on landed properties, stressing that when voted into office, his administration will work with the private sector to significantly expand mortgage financing and provide credits and incentives to encourage real estate developers.
Under my leadership, the government will place great emphasis on the use of counterinsurgency doctrine and strategy by our military. We will continue to train and equip our gallant forces. and security personnel with the resources, gear, equipment, and all technology necessary to eliminate crime in our society. It might not be to zero, but your life will be secured.
Meanwhile, eminent Nigerians on Saturday gathered in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria for the 7th edition of CAD Invest, an annual event organized by Kaduna State Investment Promotion Agency. They include the 2023 presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and 14th Kano Emir Muhammad Sanusi, Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, among others. At the event, President Muhammad Buhari was represented by Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum. And the theme of this year's CAD Invest is Building a Resilient Economy. The former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Lamido Sanusi, is a keynote speaker on the topic Improving Subnational Resilience Against Global Economic Shocks.
In 2019, officially, we were importing 40 million liters a day, 2019. In 2022, officially, we are importing 66 million liters a day. In 3 years, we have increased our petrol consumption by 50%.
Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Nasarawa State Command of the Nigerian Police has met with political party leaders and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to brainstorm on pathways for a smooth electoral process. Abubakar Abdullahi, who sent in this report as presented from our studio, says the meeting was to address areas of issues around security and tensions that may arise before, during and after the elections. The report.
The meeting between the police, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the leadership of the political parties in Lafia, the state capital, was in compliance with the directive of the Inspector General of Police, Alkali Baba, who ordered all state commands to liaise with the resident electoral commissioners and political party leaders to come up with a campaign roadmap that will address possible conflicts in the election process. Addressing the gathering, Nasarawa State Police Commissioner Adeshina Shoyemi said ahead of the 23 general elections officers and men of the command have been cautioned to ensure a high sense of professionalism and fairness in the dealings.
I emphatically want to assure you that ahead of the electionary process and the 2023 general election, all police officers and men serving in the command have been charged to be neutral, alert, and display high degree of professionalism and fairness in their dealings with all political parties.
He enjoined all politicians to support the police and the election process by operating within the ambit of the Constitution and Electoral Act, while advising political parties to prevail on their supporters to be of good conduct by shunning any act of capable of disrupting the electoral process and peace of the state. The police commissioner reiterated that the police would deal ruthlessly and decisively with any act that contravened the relevant laws. Representatives of different political parties pledged to ensure the success of 2023 general elections in the state and the country.
From the campaign down to the election day, we ensure that we will cooperate with the security agencies, ensuring that we will have a peaceful atmosphere for the exercise.
That is to have our commitment as a party. We would ensure that we play the game in accordance with the extant laws of the land as enumerated by the CP.
We will definitely get back to our political party and address our supporters very well. Meanwhile, that at least the Electoral Act has only spelled it out. There's no difficulties, either snatching of ballot paper, running with this and this and that. It is no longer there.
INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in the state, Uthman Ajidagba, represented by the Administrative Secretary of the Commission, Usman Wase, said the Commission will remain impartial throughout the process.
May I use this opportunity to, on behalf of the Honorable Resident Electoral Commissioner, pledge that the Commission is going to give level playing ground for all political parties.
At the end of the meeting, it was agreed that chairmen of all registered political parties are expected to sign an undertaking on behalf of their parties to be law-abiding and of good conduct throughout the electionary period in the state.
At least one person is feared dead and about 14 others injured in a clash between supporters of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and those of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital. The incident was said to have occurred near the residence of the governorship candidate of the PDP in the 2023 governorship election in Zamfara state. The PDP was holding an occasion to receive 30,000 defectors from the 14 local government areas of the state who dumped the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) into the PDP fold to join forces with the governorship candidate of the party in the state to unseat the incumbent governor Bello Muhammad in the 2023 general elections. Eyewitness accounts said while the PDP were holding the event near the residence of the governorship candidate of the party, some supporters of the ruling party invaded the venue, attacked its supporters and destroyed their campaign vehicle. The 14 victims who were left with injuries were rushed to Yarima Bukura Specialist Hospital in Gusau, where they are currently receiving treatment. And now to Kogi State, Lokoja, the state capital, where reptiles, particularly snakes, have reportedly taken over many homes. And that is in Lokoja, the state capital, causing panic among residents who are returning home after a gradual receding of water. Residents of Ajara quarters in the marine area of Lokoja, Adankolo, part of Army Barracks area, Gadumo and Ganaja areas, whose homes were flooded, told Daily Trust that they have been battling with influx of snakes in their homes. Equally, travelers flying the Ganaja-Lokoja road were reported to have encountered a big snake in their boat shortly after taking off to cross the other side of the town. On Thursday, a snake was said to have been sighted by a passenger in the boat a few meters from the shore, causing passengers to jump into the water. And as part of measures to mitigate the effect of flooding, the Delta State government, through its Flood Disaster Management Committee, has set up 10 internally displaced persons camps across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. The Director General Orientation Bureau, Eugene Azuka Uzum, disclosed this while briefing press in Asaba, the state capital. The report.
The Director General disclosed that apart from the 10 new camps, 2 additional camps have been set up by the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, DESU PADEC, in Uheli and Ashaka to complement the effort of the state government. The DG stated that relief materials distribution centers had also been established close to the camps to take care of the feeding and health needs of the flood victims in the various camps.
And today we have 10 camps functional. 10 camps functional in various locations across the senatorial district. And the camps are in Obuafo, in the Oshimili South local government. We have in Alaka, in the rear axis, Alaka Grammar School. We have the One camp, we have the Utagbogbe camp. We have the Patani camp, the Isoko Central School or the ICS camp.
While lamenting that the 2022 flood was becoming more challenging than what was experienced in 2012, the DG appealed for assistance from the federal government and relevant agencies. Azum also called for collaboration from the affected states to create more dams to mitigate flooding.
We are using this opportunity to call on the federal government and its intervention agencies to come to the support of the Delta State government. We are calling on NEMA. We are calling on other MDAs to come to the support of Delta State government. We are also using this opportunity to reach out to the federal government and all the states that are involved. We have the states of Kogi, we have Benue, we have Niger State, we have Rivers, Abia, and more of the states for a much needed collaboration for the construction of dams to be able to hold back the water and mitigate on the challenges of the ravaging flood.
He assured victims of the state government's commitment to addressing their plight in order to give them a new lease of life.
And now to Bayelsa State, where the state government has expressed worry that the impact of this year's flooding might result in humanitarian crisis, saying about 700,000 persons have been affected. The Commissioner for Environment and Chairman of the State Task Force on Flood Mitigation and Management is Selama Barabiri, who raised the concern on Saturday while giving updates on the committee's activities, said no fewer than 300 communities and villages had either been totally or partially submerged. He said that virtually all the communities and streets in Yenagoa local government area had also been either submerged or partially flooded. He said there had been reported cases of corpses washed away from the cemetery in Asokoro community in Yenagoa, raising concerns of an impending health crisis. He, however, assured that the state government will do its best to bring relief to victims of flood, as the committee was working round the clock to address the challenges. Meanwhile, the situation has pushed cost of food items and transportation high. You're watching Trust TV News Updates. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at how fuel scarcity forces Katsina motorists to abandon vehicles. Details of this story and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You are still watching Trust TV News Update. Before we proceed, a recap of our top stories. We told you that Atiku Tinubu pledged economic rebirth to address poverty and insecurity in Nigeria. And the snake scare heightens in Lokoja as water recedes. Moving on to other stories, Zamfara State's government has ordered the shutdown of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Gusau, and the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRC, and Pride FM for violating government order and journalism practice. A statement released by the State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara in Gusau, said other media organizations sanctioned include Gamji TV, Gamji FM and Al Ummah TV, who are privately owned media outfits operating in the state. Dosara said the closure of the affected station was approved by the State Security Council. According to him, the Commissioner of Police had been directed to arrest and prosecute personnel of the affected stations caught violating the order and the state. And many motorists have been forced to abandon their vehicles due to fuel scarcity at filling station in Katsina. Many filling stations closed for almost a week, while very few are operating on a skeletal activities. And Abdullah Yamadi, who went around filling stations in Katsina, reports that the effect of the fuel scarcity is taking a toll on the people. His report.
Usually busy locations in the Asian city are now deserted, largely due to shortage of petroleum products at filling stations. People are resorting to trekking or riding bicycles to reach their destinations to avoid wasting long hours on queues at filling stations. Motorists spend hours or pass the night on long queues at filling stations, all in a bid to get fuel, which many say is compounding the already harsh economic situation for Nigerians. You see, we spend the whole day trying to get fuel here, and this is seriously affecting our day-to-day activities. If I go back to the owner of this motorcycle, what will I tell him? I have to pay him, because this motorcycle is not mine. I use it on hire purchase. I don't want to prolong this issue, but we are suffering. However, some people selling the commodity at black market are making a brisk business. What we do here is helping people that cannot withstand the rigor of spending the whole day on queue to buy fuel. We sell 1 liter at the rate of 487 naira. It is left for you to calculate and see how much will it cost you to purchase 1 gallon, which is 4 to 5 liter. This is coming at a time the state leadership of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, said it is doing all it could to see that the allocation of the commodity to Katsina is judiciously distributed as soon as it arrives in the state. Katsina State Task Force on the Availability and Distribution of Petroleum Products is making concerted efforts to ensure that the commodity meant for the state is delivered to the appropriate filling station.
Our trucks are loading from Lagos. Before, they are taking 2 to 3 days to reach Katsina here. But now, if the truck leave Katsina here, before it will go Lagos, load product, come back, it will take about 20 to 25 days.
Some residents, however, alleged that some marketers are either hoarding or diverting the commodity. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Away from this fuel scarcity in Katsina, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has challenged the justice system of the country to treat both the rich and the poor equally, as justice has no favorites. The governor was speaking when he pardoned 153 inmates selected from different correctional centers across the state who had been incarcerated for various infractions and could not afford to settle various fines of less than 5,000 naira. Adamu Imam completes the report.
The governor also reiterated his commitment and that of his administration to ensure speedy dispensation of criminal justice in order to see that justice is served appropriately.
And that's why we have to come for reform. Our justice system is far more than just a set of laws and regulations that are imposed to govern the affairs of our community. Rather, it is also a reflection of the relationship between the state and the individual, and the standards that we can expect from one another. At times, it is necessary to uphold that standard with determined strength and swiftness against that seek to harm us, against those that seek to harm us, harm our loved ones and the communities that we live.
The State Controller of Correctional Service, Aliyu Abubakar Bajoga, described the pardon of the inmate as the best way of decongesting correctional centers. He said the number of those pardoned is one of the largest in the country.
So, no doubt, will go a long way in aiding the decongesting process, which the governor has been in the forefront of this process since assumption of office. I'm also happy because His Excellency did not stop at granting pardon alone. He went further by giving the freed inmates a start-up capital to facilitate their resettlement life. Not only crime-free life, but build a self-supportive effort that will be beneficial to them and the society.
He also appealed to the state government to support the centers by equipping its vocational and technical units for the training of inmates on different skills. Some of the inmates thanked the governor for the pardon and pledged to turn a new leaf. The inmates were each given 50,000 naira as take-home empowerment by the state governor to enable them begin life after the incarceration. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The federal government has disclosed plans to commence direct flights from Nigeria to Israel for airlifting of Christian pilgrims. The Executive Secretary, Christian Pilgrim Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, said that by the end of November 2022, direct flights from Nigeria to Israel would be launched. A statement from Chairman Air Peace, Alan Onyema, assured of its readiness to launch the flight operations, even as the Commission said it would promote direct flights to Israel. Onyema stated that Air Peace is desirous of kicking off direct flight operations to Israel in order to ease the burden of connecting flights from the Commission and the intending pilgrims. And on the international scene, Iran's judiciary said the 4 prisoners have been killed and 61 others were injured after a fire broke out at Tehran's Evin prison overnight. Authorities said the 4 prisoners died due to the smoke inhalation caused by the fire and 61 others were injured, with 51 of them treated on an outpatient basis. The incident took place as nationwide protest over the death in detention of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman, entered a 5th week. The protests have posed one of the most serious challenges to the Iranian government since the 1979 revolution, with demonstrations spreading across the country and some people chanting slogans against Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And that brings us to the end of the news update at this hour. For more, you can follow us across all our social media platforms. On behalf of the news crew and the technical crew, I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching.